As with me, Mr. Booth will be leading us in our invocation, and Mr. Thacker in our Pledge of Allegiance, and then Dai will come up for translation services. Mr. Booth?
Ready? Bow with me, please. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we pause today to ask for your guidance and direction on this matter. We ask that you bless the hearts, minds, and souls of the folks sitting up here at the dais and all the folks here in the room today. In your Son's name, amen.
Amen. Amen.
Just join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Dai?
My name is Davi Medina. I'm here to provide translation services. Mi nombre es Davi Medina. Estoy aquí para proveer servicio de traducción. Gracias.
Thank you, Dahlia, as always. And Board, it's my understanding we do have someone that was here for public comment. Mr. Soto, do you see the parent? Can someone just check in the lobby and see if there's a parent out there? Someone had expressed that they wanted to speak quickly on a claim. And if not, then we'll move past it. If they come in, we can certainly revisit. Okay, so Board, we're going to move on then at this point. Seeing no one else for public comment, we'll close that portion of our meeting. We'll move into our regular agenda. As you know, we're here to discuss the situation regarding Acclaim Academy. Superintendent, I'll turn to you at this time for some information from your staff.
Thank you. And Sonia, Sonia, can you get up there, please? As we have been discussing, there has been a lot of conversations in regards to Acclaim Academy, and Acclaim Academy has notified us that they would want to close on March 31st, and we have been working with them to ensure that the children are in the best hands and that we would be willing to take over that particular school starting April 1st. However, apparently we have some other information that has come up, and I would like Sonia to share with you.
Sure. And Dr. Susan, if you would, just one moment. I do see the parent that wanted to speak is here. If we could just pause for a moment. You can come on up. You don't have to sign in. We'll let the parent speak, and then we'll start our presentation from there. Ma'am, it's good to see you again.
Thanks for
Pleasure's
coming.
all mine.
Absolutely.
Hope your kids appreciate you.
They love me. They know I'm awesome.
As they should. If you would, though, you know our protocol. If you'd state your name and address for the record, and then you know the lights in front of you. At the end of the lights, they'll turn red, and that'll be the wrap-up for your comment.
Yes. Good afternoon to all. My name is Jeanette Martinez. I live at 4202 O'Berry Road, Kissimmee, Florida. I am a mother of two boys that go to Acclaim Academy. I am not here on behalf of Acclaim Academy. I am here as a parent on behalf of my children. I didn't know exactly how many people were here. My eyes kept just losing sight. But I made a copy of a letter that Acclaim Academy sent to the parents. So hopefully that you guys can read this, please. I'm very nervous. I just parked my car and came in here, so I'm kind of out of breath as well. I'm actually here to say that I appreciate everything that you, the board, are doing for our kids. At first, I thought that you, the board, wanted to actually close us down. I'm aware now that I have all my facts wrong. And I came here, I left early from work for the fact that I know that there's, I don't know where my camera's here, but I know that Mr. Mopes and Acclaim Academy is watching this. So when I say Acclaim Academy, I mean their board. The people who promised to help us and encouraged us to do what we did to the fullest. Encouraged me to continue. I did this voluntarily, on my own for my kids. And I got a group of parents that helped me out on this, and we got kids in here involved because we were doing the right thing for Acclaim, and it wasn't fair what they were getting. At the end of the day, the result was that Acclaim Academy abandoned us, left us completely alone in this fight, and don't even have the face, or didn't have the face, to face us and tell us, other than this letter, which basically also in one of the paragraphs, it says, I believe it's paragraph number 3. I'm sorry about that. I'm not 100% sure. I lost all my details. I didn't even let my notes in the car. The 3 minutes is killing me.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Keep going.
It says here, when I came, I spoke with Mr. Wheeler, gave me some references. Have a plan A, a B, a C, and a D. So that when the school does eventually whatever happens, that I should start having my options on the table. I was never told by this board to take my kids out of Acclaim Academy and put them somewhere else. I mentioned this to a couple of parents. They do say that you did say it to me. It was to me, I don't recall. I saw again the video, it didn't sound like that. And I don't think you said that. You did tell me to have a plan. I should have listened. I should have listened. Unfortunately, now I'm in this situation where I am now. It's broken my heart because I encouraged these kids. And I was mad yesterday, and I went to the school and I asked for my kids' papers. And I left the textbooks, so I couldn't get my withdrawal forms. So today I acted really tough to leave. And I broke down because these kids came to me asking me, where did I go wrong? They didn't do anything wrong. Acclaim Academy messed up. It wasn't them. They did everything right. We had the opportunity to stay open to the end of the school year. You gave us that opportunity. You, the board. And Acclaim took that away from us. Made a decision, and then in this letter states that they're closing because you won't give them money. So I'm asking for answers. Is this true? Are they closing because you won't fund them till the end of the school year? And I'm asking this before they tell you that they want to close down because you denied the waiver or the state denied the waiver. They have their reasons. The law does state 2 consecutive Fs. So we were just trying to see if we can get 1 more year. And we knew that if it didn't work, then it didn't work, and the next year we'll make plans. Unfortunately, it didn't work, and now we all have to make plans. How brave is it that at 6 o'clock on a Friday, we get a robocall saying that Acclaim Academy is closing and no one to call and ask a question to? You know how my weekend went? I hope yours went well. We didn't have a good weekend. Dennis Mopes, I spoke to him many times. He's a really good guy. He's a really good salesman. You know, I bought it. And unfortunately, I can't speak for everyone. I can only speak for myself and my kids. I am heartbroken. I feel betrayed. And I wish that there was more people that knew about this meeting. Everybody does know about the 6 o'clock meeting. But I know that other people would have came here today and expressed how they feel. Now, my question to you is, I have my kids all day today with no class because I don't know what to do. I've considered schools, yes, and I've called a couple. I'm just afraid that this is going to happen again. So when you say you're taking over Acclaim Academy, what do you mean by taking over Acclaim Academy? What can I expect from this board when you take over Acclaim Academy? Because I do not trust Acclaim Academy. Is it going to be the same people ruling the school or running the school and then you guys oversee them? Or how is this going to work?
Sure. So first of all, I want to thank you again for coming tonight. And as expressed, we're very appreciative of your commitment to your students and the time that you've taken to make sure that this board hears your viewpoints. What I would ask, if you would, is a discussion that's going to take place right now with the board and staff is kind of going through the various details of what all of this is going to look like so that the board can vote tonight on what's going to happen going forward. I think you're definitely in the right place and you're going to want to hear those answers, and I think the answers that you're looking for will be addressed. If they're not, then I'll specifically address them with you after the meeting as well. So I would ask if you'd sit and kind of let us work through this process. I think as you hear it, you're going to get all the answers that you're looking for, and this board is trying to figure out what we can do to make the best decision for the future of the students at Acclaim. Okay?
I really appreciate everything
Absolutely.
that you've done for our school.
Yeah. Mr. Wheeler?
I got it. Ms. Martinez, I appreciate you being here. Before you sit, I'm going to give you my card with my cell number on it. But when I found out Acclaim was going to close down before the end of the school year, steam was coming on my ears. I was so mad because they weren't doing what was in the best interest of kids. That really, I've been on this board since 2002. I've never seen a school who was allowed to stay open decide they were going to close. And so part of the reason that they didn't get, quote, more funding was because they decided to close. They weren't going to give them money so that they could start writing checks for things that they may not need, which other charter operators, not in Osceola, have done. We've seen them, as the saying goes, quote, take the money and run. So in this instance, we want to make sure that doesn't happen. But to Mr. Weissire's point, we're going to get details right now about the operation of a claim, so I encourage you to stay. But let me give you my card. My cell number's on here. If I can do anything for you and your kids, let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Esposito, if you would at this time.
I have a quick question before
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry, Dr. Esposito. I know that there's nothing legal that I can do, but how is it possible that a claim academy can go around other counties opening schools? So what if Orange County gets an F and then another consecutive F? Are they going to continue? I mean, I know you don't do Orange County, but there has to be something. They can't just throw these kids out like they're nothing. You know, they told us that they were on our side. They're not on our side. There has to be something that can be done. I mean, this is a company, a separate company, and it has nothing to do with Osceola County Board. But at the end of the day, you know, they can't go around opening schools like it's a shopping center and then just closing them down when they don't have the sales.
Sure.
So-
I think to your point, each board does have their own authority within their jurisdiction or in their county, but at the same time, other boards throughout the state are always looking to see what's happening in other counties and where successes or failures have taken place. And I'll use a biblical term to say you sow what you reap, and or you reap what you sow, if I get it right. You reap what you sow, and there's I can't speak for any other board, but I can tell you that I can't imagine that other boards in other areas aren't going to look at what's happening here and the outcome of it and have that in their decision-making process as well. I can't speak for them, but that would be my opinion and what I know this board would do.
All right, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Sonia.
As the superintendent said, a lot have happened in the last couple of days. We went to the State Board of Education. The State Board denied the waiver. We didn't know, we were not notified about this closure until the Monday of the following week. I know that you have several questions, and I have here Vivian Kokotis to address your questions in regards to facilities, and I think Todd also will address the concerns regarding finance.
Melba, let me turn to you real quick, just so we can kind of get through some of the form and function here. I think the best thing at this point is for the board to hear from you or your staff on what the moving parts are, what you guys are proposing all of this is going to look like, and then what the impediments that we have to overcome are, whether it be legal, financial, or otherwise, so that we can make this happen.
Because of the issue, Vivian, would you mind coming up? All along, we were thinking that we would be able to take over the school, and we were working in that direction. We, as we have notified the board, we looked at transportation, we've looked at food services, human resources, facilities, every single area that we could possibly think of, and finally said, okay, we're in really good shape, we can take over the school. However, in the last 2 days, something else happened, and Vivian, if we can have Vivian please share in regards to the leasing concern that we have, which may change the entire direction in which we would have to go.
Okay.
Melba, if I can, I just want to add to what the superintendent just said. The district have multiple conversations because our concern is what is best for the children at that school. And if you think about, we are kind of in the middle of the testing window. We have over 360 students. So all the conversations that staff have in regards to what can we do to keep this school open until the end of the year is what is best for the students in one of the most crucial times of their school year, which is taking the FSA. So that's what we have our priority, but like Ms. Luciano said, there have been some roadblocks that have been showing up in the last couple of days.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good
Vivian.
afternoon. My name is Vivian Kokotis. I'm with Mr. Brown's office, and I have been working with staff diligently to try and explore what the issues are with the school. We were notified on March the 2nd that the school had elected to close on March the 31st. On the 3rd of March, we had a meeting right here at this table to explore with Mr. Mope and his accountant what options we had to encourage a claim to stay open through the end of the year. We were consistently told that financially Acclaim did not have the resources to remain open through the remainder of the school year. Finance folks went through various issues with Acclaim, and Acclaim generally kept responding that financially they could not stay open past March the 31st. We asked them what other issues were going on with the school that we needed to know about. At that time, we learned that Acclaim was in litigation with the owner and landlord of the facility. That evening, I contacted the counsel for the landlord as well as Acclaim's lawyer involved in that litigation, and I asked them if there was a way that we could assume the lease on a short-term basis through the remainder of the school year, but we would need it on a significantly reduced rental rate from the stated rate in the lease. The landlord indicated fairly quickly that they would take a significantly reduced lease amount in a range that was acceptable, at least to the folks at the district, but that at this time, the school is not in breach of the lease. So the school would have to relinquish its leasehold for April and May. When I contacted the attorney for the school, their position is they are actively trying to settle the litigation. They believe that withholding a leasehold right is advantageous to them from a litigation perspective, so they will not agree to the school relinquishing the leasehold for April and May unless their litigation with the landlord is resolved. The landlord has indicated that if we wanted to pursue options to try and gain access to the leasehold, we were free to pursue those, but at this point, the rent is current. They believe the school will be in breach of the lease effective April 1 when the school closes, but at the present time, at least the rent is current. They have other issues, but they said that those are issues associated with the litigation.
And after you absorb all this, I can give you some litigation strategies you can consider, but we'll talk about that in due course.
So in a nutshell, the landlord has been willing to cooperate with us at a significantly reduced rental rate. Right now, the rent is $1,000 per student, and they have 360 students at the school, so their stated rent is $36,000 a month. The landlord was willing to give us a significantly reduced rental rate, but that would be contingent on the school assigning their lease rights for April and May, and the school is not willing to do so unless the litigation is resolved.
Does Acclaim's lease end at the end of the school year?
Acclaim has a lease through 2017.
Okay.
And Acclaim is under the belief that the only thing they owe the landlord in the event the school closes is a $5,000 a month payment for equipment and fixtures, because the lease is based on a per student enrollment. So their theory is that if they have no students, they don't owe the landlord any rent. And the landlord has interest from another charter school who would like to occupy the premises in July. So they feel like this is their leverage to try and settle the litigation that they've initiated against the landlord.
Okay. Have you had a chance to look at the lease between the claim and
Yes.
the owner? Do you
Yes.
concur with the claim's opinion? And
The
you don't
lease-
have to answer that if it puts us in any type of situation.
No, the lease is very Spartan. I think that there is argument both ways. And that's what they're going to have to argue about. I mean, technically, the lease is based on a per student enrollment, and if they don't have a student enrollment, technically they don't owe the money. The landlord's position is that if they're not operating a school, then they're in breach of the lease because that's the purpose of the lease.
Sure.
But it's a 3-page lease, which is very unusual on a commercial agreement. So there are a lot of gaps in what ordinarily would be covered by a standard commercial lease.
I agree. Mr. Wheeler?
I got a few questions. The first one is, so let's go to the premise that they're in breach of their lease April 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Can we then open it and take it over April 2nd?
Well, the problem is that the landlord's position is at that point, they would feel comfortable filing an eviction action at the beginning of April under the theory that they're in breach of the lease. But there is a turnaround time to the eviction process, and we don't know what sort of a fight the school would put up. Because thus far, the commentary from the lawyers has been a little bit vague. They're trying to settle a litigation, so they're absorbed in their settlement process. But the landlord has indicated that they would cooperate with us if we wanted to try and intervene.
Please let Mr. Moak know that I would like to testify on behalf of the landlord and send a letter tomorrow or in the next 2 days to whoever the judge is. I'll send it to both their attorneys also relative to this. It will not fare well with him relative to anything he's trying to do to win a case in, I assume it's in Osceola County, as it relates to this, relative to using the disposition of 360 students as pawns in his little Ponzi scheme or whatever he's doing. I mean, that's what it really comes down to is, I understand that charter schools are a business. I get that. I understand landlords got to make money too. I understand all. We're talking about 360 kids. They know they're in the public school business. So please notify Mr. Moak's attorney and Vivian. Please get a hold of me tomorrow.
Yes.
And that landlord will never have a better friend going into a court against Mr. Mopes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown and then Mr. Thacker.
Just very briefly, the only effective way, if you wanted to go that route, to be ready to go end of March, would be to initiate an emergency injunction and eviction action now. And you would argue, and I don't, and there's no guarantee you'll win, but I think you have every shred of equity.
We do it here in Osceola County, right?
Yes, yes. You would argue an anticipatory breach. I mean, they've announced, they have a lease through 2017. They've announced that they're out of here April 1. So that's, they put it in writing, and the lady who spoke today would be a star witness. I mean, everyone knows that they're going to breach, and there is that concept in the law called anticipatory breach, and they agreed to operate a public school, and now they are holding 360 kids hostage just to advantage themselves in a litigation negotiation. I would hope that we would have some ability to get an emergency injunction clearing them out effective. I guess the day the children come back is March 31. Is that right?
Correct.
Spring break. We would have to be ready to go March 31. I could understand.
File this tomorrow? We file this tomorrow?
We'd have to file it, what is tomorrow?
9 in the morning.
Wednesday. We'd have to file, the board needs to consider everything, and it may, at some point, you may say, this is ridiculous, we'll just have to start making arrangements now to absorb the children. That's really the issue in 30 minutes to figure out.
Sure, and I want to come, Mr. Thacker, with your point is, you think if first of all, we would file that, not the property owner, not the landlord?
We would have to get, that's why thank you. That's why I asked Vivian to contact the landlord just this afternoon and find out. I mean, we're finding this stuff out in fast time. We wouldn't have standing without the landlord. The landlord's going to have to, we'll do it with redundancy. The landlord will have to be a nominal party or assign all of his rights. We'll figure out a way to palm off of the landlord's status as the landlord, anticipatory breach. I can't guarantee that you'd win. So you want to have
How quickly would that go? How quickly would that?
This is my point.
In an ideal way.
Yeah, in an ideal way, tomorrow's Wednesday. We would file something certainly by Thursday. We would certify emergency, and we would be in court ideally Friday. And because if you lose, sometimes judges aren't as compassionate as you want. I mean, you could lose this thing.
Sure.
And if you lose, you want to know Friday, because then you go to Plan B, which you got to start absorbing the kids.
Right. And I don't want to cut you off, but I know we've got a very short period of time,
time,
and I want Mr. Thacker, and then I want to just kind of get into some of the quick details about the operation of the school. If the landscape is good for all that, and this is our main impediment, then we focus it on this one issue. There's other things we need to talk about. The board needs to know that too. So, Mr. Thacker.
And that was where my question was based on time. Do we have a plan if we cannot get in this building for these students without dispersing them all over the place?
The only plan that we would have is
Dispersing them all
dispersing those children to those schools.
Home zone schools.
Yep,
They're regularly
that's
zoned
it.
schools.
That's all we can do, because if we can't get in the building, then we would have to take the children out of the building and into our schools.
And the second part is, we can take multiple paths here, I believe, where we wanted to pursue that, we can pursue that while we're working on Plan B also. But
Yeah.
That's what you'd have to do.
Yes. Melba, I know you guys have been looking at all aspects of how to make this happen, including HR, transportation, food service, and so on. Is the lease hold the only impediment right now for us being able to make this happen?
Yes,
We're
yes.
ready to go. Staff is,
If there wasn't this problem with the lease, on Thursday, where we have already indicated that we would meet with staff and parents, we would be ready to share with them. The children are staying, and this is what we're doing with human resources. We already have staff ready to meet on Thursday. However, with this impediment, it would definitely change everything.
sure, okay. And board, real quick, I think it's probably a silly question for me to
I'm
ask,
sorry,
but everybody's in agreement that if the lease worked, that's the direction we want to go, all right? Everyone,
Yes.
I mean, I'm just making sure I'm not assuming for anybody. Mr. Phelps?
Yeah, I mean, the only roadblock right now really is the lease issue. There are a few speed bumps that we still have to, kind of go over, which is transportation, but that's one that we can work out. HR, but those are all things that we already have a plan for. But again, they're just speed bumps, and they're not anything that would keep us from taking over the school.
Okay.
Ensuring that the
Do we
students
have
have a school. for their
any
kids.
leverage over a claim, over the fact that they have other schools out there? I know.
So Sonia, I think Sonia has some information regarding that.
Yeah. What was I gonna
May I
ask?
also, before Sonia says something, I just want you to know that we really are in a tight situation schedule, because all we have is next week, the following week is spring break, and guess what? The very next week is the 31st.
Sure.
So whatever
We get that.
we have to make a decision.
Melba, would you give just a really quick explanation to the parent's question regarding what would happen from a teaching standpoint, an instructional standpoint? That was what I think she was really getting at, is the lack of trust that exists. And I know that we would bring our HR team in, make sure that people are qualified and vetted. Could you just give a quick synopsis
Sure
so the
can.
parents understand that?
That is very, very much the key to it. The key is human resources. They would have to go through the application process. Tammy will be there, bring staff over there to help those teachers so that they don't have to come here. We're going to go to them, get that remedied immediately. She already has a list of all of the staff members, the years they've been, their salaries, et cetera. Because all of that we have to take into account, which is salaries, insurance, et cetera. So that's the major thing. But we would be able to maintain the staff there, and we would definitely be there to supervise what's going on. The principal is interested in remaining there, has an interest in the children. We believe that that would be a good step, and keeping the people there that want to be there, and then for us to go in there and supervise.
Okay, thank you.
And I want to assure the board one more time that the district have multiple meetings, and we have looked at everything. Clyde even went with his staff to look at the building to make sure that everything is at par with what we want, and we want to make sure that the status quo stay for those kids until the end of the school year. In regarding to other schools, I was previewed by the Florida Department of Education because I had to inform them that the school had decided to close as of March 31st. Well, they made me preview of a letter that was submitted by Orange County to them of some improprieties that they have found in the school in Orange. So the Florida Department of Education have taken the following action. They have stopped the CSP grant to the school in Orange and the school in Duval County, and I believe it's this coming Thursday. The Florida Department of Education is sending a group of people to go and do kind of an audit and see how are they spending the money. But at this time, this is the action that the Florida Department of Education is doing. They also put on notice the Palm Beach County because they have a school scheduled to open in August, and they're making them preview of the situation that's happening in our district and in other districts at this point.
Yep. Okay, thank you, Sonia. Larry, yes, sir.
I was probably going to say the same thing you're going to say. If we go down this route with this anticipatory breach and we go to them, we would know theoretically, we should know by the next board meeting next Tuesday, the 17th.
We will, you're always, and that lady, before she leaves, make sure we have her name, address, because she will be a witness. We should, you know, you're always subject to the judge making
understand,
time, but
I
I think this will get the judge's attention, and he'll give us an emergency hearing time,
So,
evidentiary.
I think,
In the event that this is.
So I hear that, yeah, so we'll know if it's go or not the 17th in a perfect world.
Larry, part of my question is going to be, do you need, or does staff need a formal vote from the board tonight on going in that direction? What do you need from us?
I think if there's a clear consensus, I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, I'll make the motion if you want me to.
A motion's always better, you know.
I'll second with discussion. See, the superintendent, deputy superintendent want to chime in.
Yeah, I see that as well. So just clarification, the motion by Mr. Booth with a second by Mr. Wheeler for the school board to move forward with the emergency injunction.
Correct.
Correct term, Mr. Brown?
Yeah, so emergency litigation, all appropriate relief with a report back at the 17th board meeting.
Right.
Or sooner.
Yes, of course.
Right.
And then Plan B will continue to be worked on, which is to put the kids back in their home zone schools. Because I can't guarantee you that we're gonna win, because this is not a normal situation. I'm sure the judge, it will likely be Judge Palatna. I don't think he's ever seen anything like this. You know, this is not the norm, so I can't predict how he'll react.
Sure, okay. Melba or Tom?
Okay. Just want to make sure. If we go down this road, then when we go to the school on Thursday to speak to the teachers and to the parents, we would let them know that this is that we're still pushing to keep this school open, and that they'll have to be patient with us, but they really need to. We'll give them both options, because we have to say, this is a possibility, we'll keep it open, but if we don't, then we're gonna have to send you a letter, probably an IRIS call, and then we're gonna have to go let them know that their children will have to go to our schools.
Yes, ma'am.
And just
Okay.
to the end of the year, just so the parent understands,
Yeah.
Right, yeah, you can still pursue another choice option if there's one that exists that you like, in whatever regard.
I just want to make one comment, and that is, just to listen to what's going on. It wasn't really, we really didn't delve into what exactly the litigation is between the charter school and the landlord. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's related to the lease in the sense of missing payments, because they're up to date, correct? So, and I also understand from Mr. Brown that this litigation is not just emergency in terms of its timing, but that it also has a low probability of success. So I would just make the point here, and I hope that the school board understands what I'm trying to do, is that realistically, it looks like the school is gonna shut down and we're gonna absorb these students. So that needs to be, we need to prepare for that, for a seamless transition come March 31st. So while I'd agree with this board that we pursue this, it is a Hail Mary shot. It doesn't sound to me, based on my legal training, that it has a chance to survive or be granted. So I just want to go ahead and just put just advise the board and advise the district on my opinion on this.
We will be very honest.
You never take.
Yeah, but this is not even a half-court shot.
Yeah, sir, I want to recognize your board, if you'll indulge me. Gentlemen, if you would just,
Michael Grabian, 2200 Stephanie Court. I spoke to the principal of Poinciana High School when I heard all this was going on, and they're gonna be on spring break same time. The claim is, she just seemed overwhelmed that this could be happening, and as far as a parent, they're gonna be on spring break, they're not gonna be there. How am I gonna get my kid transferred over in such a short notice?
No.
right,
So
yeah. Mr. Akes?
When we get through with the parent meeting on Thursday, we'll go ahead and start the process of sending a team over there to start what we'd call the registration process.
Okay.
One way or the other, we got to figure out where these students are at academically. So a goal is still going to be by the end of next week for us to have met with these students and have that plan in place. So be assured that when we come back from spring break, one way or the other, we'll be prepared to educate your child.
Okay, all right, that was just.
That's a good question.
Sorry, thank you.
So let's just kind of revisit a couple of quick things, and this is for the benefit of the community and the parents. This board has been and remains committed to keeping the school open, has from the onset, and provided that opportunity from the very beginning to say that the school can remain open to the end of the year. We are now forced into the situation to where the school is choosing to shut itself down. This board, yet again, is looking to say we want to keep what's best for these students in place and keep this school open through the end of the year. Even though it takes on all of these various moving parts and challenges, we welcome the challenge because we know it's the right thing to do for these kids. The challenge that now we have to overcome is with regard to the lease, as well as with regard to the legal issues that are going to surround that. If we're successful in that arena, then the school district will move in, we will occupy that building, a claim will remain intact, the school district will come in and operate that school through the remainder of the year and make sure that quality education is taking place. If we're not successful through the hearing with the judge, then at that point in time, our options are probably going to be exhausted. And even though we've tried as much as we can, at that point in time, families are going to have to work with the school district staff to make other arrangements to make sure that your student gets enrolled in whatever their home zone school is. Or pursue another choice option if that's your prerogative as a parent. Sonia, am I correct on that last statement? Okay. Board, have I restated where we are correctly? Anything I've missed? Okay.
I just want to make sure that when Dr. Akes, you're going on Thursday for this meeting, that you make sure you take this letter and dispel the myths that have been portrayed about what the school board did and didn't say.
Yes, sir, and I'll be there as well.
And Mr., for the board's sake, please look at the very bottom of the first, of the front of that. See what their motto, learning is what matters most.
Okay.
That's like a slap in the face to everybody.
Okay, board, we're good. Everyone understands the motion. The motion is to give direction for our attorney to move forward with
Correct.
the emergency
Post-haste.
litigation. Exactly. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, hearing and seeing none, those in favor, please indicate by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The motion does carry. Again, Tanya's motion by Mr. Booth with a second by Mr. Wheeler. Mr. Brown or Superintendent, is there any other direction that you need from the board tonight regarding this issue to make sure that everything's in place over the next few days before our Tuesday meeting?
We will have the entire team there on Thursday to talk to parents and to the staff members. Any support from you is appreciated.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Brown?
Luciano, thank you. Mrs. Luciano, thank you so much for getting this ready for these kids. We know that it's not easy, but we're doing what's in the best interest of these kids. I really appreciate it.
Very briefly on another subject, I need to add a case that I would like to discuss at the executive session coming up on the 17th for litigation. If the minutes could reflect, Tanya and Pam, please, that I request the need for executive session under 286.011 sub 8 to discuss Dre Paul, DREPAUL, against the school board, 2013CA-003647. We'll add that to the notice that will be published. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you. Superintendent, anything additional? Mr. Phelps? Yes, sir.
Just one quick thing. Mr. Brown, there is a letter that we received, and Ms. Kokotis does have that letter that specifically expresses the intent for a claim to close and what day that may be of use to you in your request for a
We will
hearing.
absolutely need that, because if we have any chance at all, we have to show the judge anticipatory breach and the tremendous harm that will occur. And some of you will be there to testify in the hearing to explain what the disruption will be if these kids have to go to multiple home zone schools.
Hopefully, not to volunteer. Help
No.
the chair was there?
Well, yes, it's always school board members. We'll let you know when the hearing is. Everyone's free to come and see and observe. It's-
Whatever you need, I'll be glad to be
Thank
there.
you so much. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Let us all.
Sonia, is there anything additional you can share with the board?
I just want to say thank you to the leadership team and to NAWA, because they have stepped up into action right away. And this district, one more time, have shown the commitment to our children and that what is in the best interest of them, regardless of other decisions that are around. We want to protect them and do what is best for them.
Great. Thank you, ma'am. Board, anything additional? Okay. We'll stand adjourned at this time.
Mike.